you guys for doing it. All right. My time here is almost done. I'm going to bring somebody up to introduce our keynote speaker that you've been waiting to hear. And General Flynn, thank you for your patience, but this had to be done, sir. General Flynn, I don't know if you know this, but when he was telling me today, he spent 8 years, 5 of 8 years deployed from 2008 to 2010 in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I don't know if you know that when he was there, he was bitten by a very venomous snake. And there was pain, and there was agony, and there was writhing for 3 days. And then the snake died. He's tough. General Flynn got into a contest with Superman. And the bet was whoever lost the bet had to wear their underwear on the outside of their pants for the rest of their life. You know who won? And General Flynn, I had this weird dream last night thinking about this. And, sir, I'm glad the dream didn't really come to pass, because you were on a flight with the Chief of Staff, and you were on a flight with the head of the Navy, the Air Force, and the Marine Corps, and you were representing the Army, sir. And the plane went down, and you all crashed, but somehow you made it to the pearly gates. And you got there, and sir, there was an argument that broke out, and the Air Force general spoke up and said to St. Peter, he said, "Now look, St. Peter, I'm here. I made it through. I think I should be able to sit at the right-hand throne of God, because, you know, we've got the air power, and we know the air power is what controls the skies." The Navy Admiral spoke up and said, "No, no, 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 you don't understand. I control the largest Navy in the world, and he who controls the seas controls the world. I should sit at the right hand of the throne of God." The Marine Corps general spoke up in this proud way and said, "Well, look, we've got a small fighting force, but they're the toughest fighting force the world's ever seen. I should sit at the right hand of the throne of God." Then General Flynn spoke up and said, "No, guys, you're all wrong. I control the largest army the world has ever seen. I was the head of the DIA. I know where all the bodies are buried. I know all the national secrets. I should sit at the right hand of the throne of God." St. Peter was listening to this, and he's scratching his head, and he says, "Guys, this is way above my pay grade. I'm just going to have to ask God." So he shoots a memo up to God. 20 minutes later, God comes back with a memo, and he says, "St. Peter, in order to determine who will sit at the right hand of my throne, I will make that decision tomorrow at 10 a.m. Signed, God, U.S. Army, retired." But I'd like to bring up General Flynn's good friend, his partner, a lady that needs no introduction, and I want her to give a real good, honest introduction to General Flynn. Tracy Beavis. Tracy?
Can everybody just give Presley a huge round of applause for a second? Someone had to say that for Presley's done. Thanks, guys. Yay! I love Presley. I'm a little bit shocked because, like, first of all, my face hurts from smiling so much. Try and tell me that we're not going to save this damn country looking at all these people. Seriously, I'm so excited and happy. So General Michael Flynn is the most investigated man on the face of planet Earth outside of President Donald J. Trump. And I had the honor of covering the story of what he went through from basically the very beginning to the very end, which was, you couldn't write it as a movie if you wanted to. No one would believe it. It's something. And seeing the trials and tribulations and what the fake news would say and the slander, but watching the resolve of he and his family through it all, knowing the sacrifices that he and his family, and a lot of his family actually, have given for this country for a very, very, very long time. And how an institution that we trusted so much could turn on someone who had given everything they had to defend it, basically. I mean, and so it was right after the debacle with the, you know, with the DOJ dropping the charges and the judge refusing to. And I couldn't believe that we had to actually have a pardon because he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. And he's one of the most honorable people I've ever met in my life. And if you've had the opportunity to spend some time with him, which he spends time with everybody, you'll know the smile, the warmth. He's a genuine, amazing American patriot. And I know he got, you know, we had the election issues, and there General Flynn was standing there trying to rally all of us to stay strong and not give up throughout that debacle and to keep fighting. Fight like a Flynn, he said. Hold the line. Stay strong. Don't give up on your country. Face everything head on. Keep going. It's worth the fight. He has been America's general for the past, goodness knows how many years. It is my absolute honor to introduce to you all tonight one of the most amazing people I've ever met, General Michael T. Flynn.
I would like to have one person stand up, and she was sitting next to me all night, and her name is Patty. Patty, please stand up. Patty is Presley's better half. And I just want to give you a big round of applause. I have a prepared speech, and I'm going to go through it. I'm going to go through it because it has some really very, very serious points, because our nation, we are at a transition point in the United States, in the history of our country, and I am a student of world history, I'm a student of U.S. history, and I have studied all of our wars. I've studied the history of warfare. I have a master's degree in the history of warfare. And I look at the world from the standpoint of a soldier. You know, a soldier, and I never went to Washington, D.C. until I was a two-star general, because I liked the field. I liked what I was doing out in the field. And as Presley talked about, I spent really from 2002 until 2010 either in Iraq or Afghanistan or some places in Africa. And the better part of the last, the first decade of this century. And you miss a lot of things, and that's just, but that is nothing compared to the sacrifice of a young man or a young woman who are 18 or 19 years old. They go off to war. They definitely have a mom and a dad and aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas. Some of them have spouses and children, and they get killed in action and they never return. And you stand there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in an airfield in one of those countries, and you watch a steel casket go off with an American flag draped over the top of it, and we call that a ramp ceremony. And that ramp ceremony will turn into a memorial service there on the ramp as they're going off, more than likely flying on a C-17 back to Dover. And that's when their returns are basically returned to their loved ones. So people always say to me, I'm so sorry for what happened to you. And I tell people, don't feel sorry for me. I do not feel sorry for myself. I feel sorry that this country had to go through what it has gone through. I feel sorry that this country is still going through what it's going through. And so what I want to talk about here tonight is, if America falls, where will you go? If America falls, where will you go? We had speakers in here today. You heard our great preacher talk about his background. We had speakers in here today that were talking about coming out of communist countries, leaving their country. You think about that. Most people don't even know what they're going to do if they're going to leave home, leave from Greenville. Where are you going to go? You're going to go out on a date. We're talking about people who are willing or have to leave their country to go find a better life, go find something better. So if America falls, where will you go? Where will you go to find another country that provides the opportunities and the individual guarantees of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness outlined in our founding documents and guaranteed by a government of, by, and for the people? Name a country that offers you and your family the same or more than our United States of America. The answer is nowhere. There is not such a place. This is our land. These are our people. These are our cities, our neighborhoods, and our streets. And this is our country. I know that whenever I say anything, it's never just to an audience of whatever's in here tonight, 350, 400 people. It's always public. And there's a reason for it. And personally, he kidded about it a little bit, but there is a fear that people have. And people are willing to stand up and are not enamored by kings or tyrants. And I'm not enamored by presidents or prime ministers or premiers. You stand there and you're ready to do your job. And you're ready to stand toe-to-toe with whomever it is, because you know what you believe. You feel in your heart what you believe. President John F. Kennedy described America as the beacon of hope for others around the world. This is our place. This United States of America, this is our place, and our responsibility, and our founding, our evolution, and our growth as a nation is precisely defined by our imperfections, our experiences, and our abilities to redeem and renew ourselves. What makes America that beacon of hope? What makes America that beacon of hope? That true North Star is that we are traditionally a nation of idea generators, problem solvers, decision makers, communicators, doers, builders, and warriors. We can think for ourselves, we can speak freely, and we can act, and we will deliver results. But being hopeful is not a survival plan. Hope has never won a war, nor will it win peace on the home front. We cannot hope to shut our eyes against the painful truth that our very existence is once again in jeopardy. Failed Marxist ideologies have invaded the mainstream of our consciousness like a network of choking vines, seeking to strangle the mighty American oak tree. These ideologies manifest themselves through a series of things. 1, social media censorship of the free exchange of ideas. 2, the mainstream messaging that drives towards thought control. Political correctness designed to force behavioral compliance. Unethical technology use supporting security state command by an overreaching few. And the last, the selective application, weaponization, and enforcement of the very ideals, laws, and institutions that are designed to protect us. Boy, don't I know that. We are but one generation from third world poverty in this country. We are but one generation from third world poverty, dissolution, and enslavement if we choose to stand idly by and allow those seeking to project their failed ideology onto the landscape that is America. The shining city on the hill is the last stronghold of freedom, and we are under siege. So I ask you again, if America falls, where will you go? Ensuring that situation does not happen requires that we all go on the offensive. The time of fear must now turn from anger into inspiration and action. Yeah. Now is the time for all good people of America to act to protect what is ours by right and by law. Never forget, our strengths as a nation have been our diversity of thought, judgment, unity of spirit, courage as a people, and devotion to what is right and just. Our founding fathers were imperfect, and they were not politically correct. They spoke their minds, they shared their ideas, they worked with their fellow countrymen, and they risked life, liberty, and property to ensure that the opportunities that freedom presents would be institutionally guaranteed during their lifetime and ours. In short, they sacrificed much. Generations of Americans, unknown to our founding fathers, have benefited from their resolute courage, their devotion, and their initial profound sacrifice. But knowledge of history is not enough to secure and protect what is now rightfully ours by birth, by law, and by responsibility. Let us not blindly move into the future. Kindness, generosity, and courage under fire, and willingness to help our fellow Americans in time of need are hallmarks of the American dream. But the American dream isn't truly a dream for the future. It is manifested as an opportunity right now. And the American dream is rooted in the power of the American people, exercising the ultimate power of a vote that is now at risk. Therefore, we must empower ourselves to positively make a difference in our lives, our children's lives, and our neighbors' lives. There is clearly buyer's remorse in this country. There is clearly, and I can tell you, because I have thought about this in detail and in depth, and spoken to some of the best people that we have in our nation and around the world. And there's buyer's remorse. Those that we choose, or those that we chose to send as our representatives, the local, state, federal levels, we have to really take a hard look at the people. You saw a whole bunch of them up here that Presley identified. We have to take a really, really hard look at who we're sending, whether it's at the local level, whether it's at the state level, or whether it's at the federal level. You know, I'm sick and tired of the rhinos. I'm sick and tired of them. We also have to figure out how to embrace and how to reach across the name calling. And I'm struggling now because we always say the left. And if you really study my life, I'm a lifelong Democrat. But I grew up in a family where my mother was the state And she ran on a pro-life agenda her entire life, one of 9 children. I was a Democrat at that time. So we have to, I know that we have people in this country that love this country, that blindly go in to the voting booth, close their eyes, and they hit the T. And they vote. And many times they don't even pay any attention to who it is that they're voting for. So in the future, consider sending those government positions rational and thoughtful representatives who are willing to fight for the betterment of our nation, our states, and our neighborhoods, especially our children. As Martin Luther King Jr. suggested, character matters. And once elected, this is really important because it's right in the Constitution. It is we, the people, who are responsible for holding those officials accountable to ensure their words equal their actions. This is grassroots patriotism. This event represents grassroots patriotism, and we should not be shaken for what we believe in. Standing up for American ideals and for the American dream are important components of American values. I value my faith. Thank God I have my faith. I value my family, my country, and the true friends who willingly stand with me during thick and thin times. And boy, did I learn about friendship over the last 4 years. I will say that the American people took a hard look at Mike Flynn and my family and said, we're with you. Thank God they did. Very emotional, as I really do. Love you. Appreciate you. America is the land of opportunity, and freedom of the human spirit is the way toward achieving that opportunity. Freedom of the human spirit is the way toward achieving the American dream. To secure our republic, every American must then do their part. This is what shapes America, all of us, working on the little things across this country. For example, this is all talked about in these last couple of days. But for example, working on school boards, working at your state capitol, working in your church communities, working in local races, on reforming voting laws, on observing voting sites, speaking out about ever-changing mask policies, or about these uncertain vaccines or shots or whatever you want to call it. Everyone doing something, no one doing everything, and none of us needs to be a Washington, D.C. superstar. Many people doing their own small part will produce big, big results. Although we need leaders at the national level to fight for us, and we do. We do. I was with Donald Trump a day and a half ago and had a great discussion with him. He's out tonight, he's probably speaking because I speak. And I will tell you, that man, you know, whenever we're together, we always joke about who's cleaner, right? I mean, they didn't find a parking ticket that I didn't pay, you know? And he goes, you're the cleanest man in America. And I always say, Donald, no, you're the cleanest man in America. He's a character. That man loves this country. He loves this country. So although we need those leaders, what we really need, the work that's done at the grassroots levels, it maintains a strong foundation that keeps us free. The work done at the grassroots level maintains that foundation of who we are, the fabric of our country. That's why we're able to be here tonight. Our Constitution is based on individual liberties. America does have a few Joan of Arcs, but the little flowers, living their hidden lives, and being faithful in the small things that are crucial for our country, they help us thrive. And there was many of them represented here tonight, and thank you, Preston, for recognizing these small flowers that are in our midst, because they're the ones that actually make this country thrive. People need to decide to get involved. That's my big message. My big message is get involved. I'm involved. I refuse to quit. I refuse to quit. I am involved. People need to get involved. That's my big strategic message. You can't sit on the couch anymore. You can't hide anymore. Give up your personal plans and go to the local meeting at your town or your city hall. Make efforts to stay informed and tell your friends what you think in order to encourage one another. We have to make sure that we discuss politics with our children and instill good... and instill good, positive American values in them, instead of leaving them to the school systems to indoctrinate them. These are all things that we cannot let slide. Sometimes we feel like we can't fix everything. Why start now? Fight this feeling. Fight this feeling. And instead chip away at the small things that you can do. And together we will turn this ship around. We will turn this ship around. I guarantee it. I give my life to it. Keep in mind that the work that I describe is neither fast-paced nor exciting. It is slow and it is tedious. Local council meetings are usually long and drawn out. Lobbying at your state capitol is time-consuming. Discussing politics with your friends, family, or neighbors is uncomfortable and sometimes alienating. Yes, it's hard, but so isn't life. And at the local level, we must encourage each other to take care of the little things. That is how we inspire and motivate. That is how we make a difference. As an American, I served in the armed forces which guard our country and our way of life. I was and am prepared to give my life in its defense. I have but one lantern which guides my actions, and that's the lantern of experience. I have seen evil, and evil's greatest fear is courageous, devoted accountability. The mask of evil will often have a smile and a handout, but let's not be fooled or lulled into sleep by the actions of appearance only, but be awoken by the actions of courage and devotion. As a founding father, Samuel Adams stated, "If you love wealth greater than liberty, the tranquility of servitude greater than the animating contest for freedom, go home from us in peace. We seek not your counsel, nor your arms. Crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen." In essence, if you don't like America or what it stands for, leave. It is not uncommon for man to be complacent while indulging in the illusions of hope. Tyrants want an uninformed public. In fact, it is in their best interest. Why do you think that the media constantly deceives us through false and anonymous reporting, hoping that someone will save us, that God will strike down evil before us, or that others will stand in our place and do the right thing is foolish thinking. Shutting our eyes against the painful truth that tyranny is knocking on America's doors won't save us from the hazards that we will certainly face. The future is unknown. I'll say that again. The only person that knows the future is God Almighty. The future is unknown. But there is no need to move into it blindly. America now stands in need of its patriots to prevent its ruin. Never forget, those things that are most precious can only be saved by sacrifice. The very institutions designed by our founding fathers to guarantee accountability and our freedoms have become increasingly challenged by brazen, hostile, and evil forces seeking to hijack and tear down those institutions and the products of lifetimes of evolutionary American societal change, attacking our culture, attacking our history, the monuments that remind us of our storied past, societal support structures, and the very fabric of our nation. Everybody has seen it. Everybody has lived it. We cannot have that anymore. It is not the first time. This is not the first time that tyranny challenged freedom, nor will it be the last time. Nonetheless, it is our time and it is our responsibility to act. Along the way, useful idiots mob rule the streets of America's democratic strongholds, and they suppress lawful accountability. The left is going to remove our rights, and those who currently rampage our streets and support this violent cause will also be cast aside. Trust me, they will be cast aside once they get, that's right. They are only useful until they can no longer be controlled. For me, I can imagine the Marxists incentivizing violence and drugs in our streets to use as an excuse to go after gun ownership or ammunition, thereby tightly regulating and taking away our Second Amendment right that guarantees our right to self-defense. As we are seeing across our government today, they have spiked our institutions of accountability with left-leaning sympathizers who would selectively go after any opposition to their ham-fisted rule. Big tech, left-leaning firms that thrive because of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights invade our privacy. They observe us at will, and they control all information that we are able to receive and broadcast, thereby ensuring that we never leave the security state. At what point will there be no turning back? At what point will there be no turning back? Are we heading toward an America that is no better than a third-rate nation or a failed society, as many great empires in the past? Our rights, our property, our liberty, our happiness, and yes, our very lives are at stake. You ask, is this possible? You ask, is this possible? Our republic, our beautiful experiment in democracy, our constitutional republic, was made by man. So too it can be undone by man. God is also at risk. God is also at risk in this new society that is rushing to take over America. Remember what they hate. Remember what they hate. When we kneel before God, they know that we can stand before anyone. However, their plan depends on us following the path that they have laid out in front of us. Our path is not known but by the grace of God. It is He who shines the light ahead of us, showing us the way to truth and justice. I am not normally a faith-wearing Christian. I do believe that the strength of our convictions and a strong belief in God is vital for a happier and healthier life. While we are all imperfect, we are also capable of learning and growing. The time for spiritual growth as a nation is upon us. I'm going to say that again. The time for spiritual growth as a nation is upon us. Ripping faith out of the fabric that is America is what the Marxist left is attempting to do. We cannot allow this to happen. The current assault will absolutely be stopped if each of us does our part. Words mean little when action is required. And now it is time for thoughtful, selfless action to protect and maintain the integrity of our nation, a nation that has much to be grateful for. Our rich past is filled with strength and imperfections that make us who we are today. It is a storied past, filled with heroes and villains, adversity, challenge, and the will to overcome. Cherishing this past is the only way we may ensure our children will not repeat the suffering our forefathers endured. Americans in the past have prevailed during the most difficult of situations: wars, civil unrest, tyranny, and challenge from external factions. Now, the only way to triumph in the face of evil is to stand up for and hold to account what is rightfully ours by birth, law, and the light from God's grace. We will prevail. We will prevail. We must prevail. We must prevail. Every community leader, those who have yet to step up, and there's some in this room tonight, and I know that in the wider audience that listens to this, because people have come up to me over the last couple of weeks and months and have said, I hear your message. I hear you. And I get emotional. I get emotional right now. Because when they tell me that, that means that there are people that have felt like they've had no voice out there. So when those of us that are standing up here, and somebody says, I'm getting involved, you don't feel like you're just, yelling into the wind. Every community leader, those who have yet to step up, now need to take that step and support our country, our communities, our first responders, definitely our first responders. Our police, our firemen, my God, give them a hand. I always tell people, if you ever see me shed a tear, it's not a tear of weakness, believe me. Our faith-based institutions, and we had a couple of descriptors tonight to talk about it. We had some great speakers today to talk about it. Our faith-based institutions, as was talked about in the prayer, opening prayer, we've got to break these walls down. But the most important reason why I'm up here today, and the ambassador said it perfectly, it's really, and his son, it's really about in my case, my grandchildren. My grandchildren. I'm beyond the nonsense stage of my life. They can do whatever they want to me. They're trying, and they're still trying. And I refuse the line. I'm going to hold the line. Hold it. And I will. So let's do this. Let's do it. Let's retake our shining, hopeful city on the hill. Our future, our children's future, our neighbors, and our republic depend on each of our actions, each of our efforts to stand up for and realize our American dream today and every day. May God bless you and your families. God bless America. Thank you very much.
Michael Flynn, everyone. God bless you. General Flynn, we've been giving away portraits, selling portraits all weekend. But it was, sir, a portrait of you that started this whole thing. So Ray, you're going to bring it up? Alex? we may, before we unveil it, Alex, would you give a little history of this portrait, please?
Yes. Vice President Flynn. Sorry, General. I'm General Flynn. I'm from Florida. We have a lot of Floridians here. We have a great governor. And in Florida, Floridians want a 2024 ticket, Trump, DeSantis. But DeSantis is doing just fine in Florida. You know, he can stay there. How about a Trump Flynn ticket? So I met General Flynn a few months ago. A friend of mine, Michael Thompson, was putting an event and asked me if I would speak and do the invocation. I couldn't believe it. It was such an honor because General Flynn is a hero of mine. And I was thinking to myself, what can I do? I want to give him a gift. And I didn't know what to give him. So I said, you know what? I don't know him. I don't know what his needs are, but I know that everybody needs Jesus. And so I said, I will try to give him more of a gift of Jesus so that he either knows him or falls in love with the Lord. But then I found out that he loves Jesus and that through persecution, he actually grew closer to Jesus. So over the last few weeks, when I was invited by Presley so kindly, I said, okay, I gotta come up with a gift. I want to come up with a gift. And then I realized, I figured out what to do. A friend of mine, his name is Reza Safa. Reza Safa is a wonderful friend of mine. He was born in Iran. He was a radical Muslim, and his dream was to come to America and blow up America. On the way here, he stopped by in Sweden for a few months. And in Sweden, he met some missionaries who preached the gospel to him, and he gave his life to Christ. When Reza Safa met the Lord told him to give everything to a church in Sweden, come to America, and open a TV station to air 24/7 on satellite in Iran, preaching the gospel. And he's been doing that for over 50 years, and millions of Iranians are giving their lives to Christ thanks to his ministry. When someone comes to Christ, then the Holy Spirit makes them discover their gifts and talents. And he realized he had a gift, and that was a gift of painting. So I called him, I said, Pastor Reza, would you please paint a painting of General Flynn so I can buy it and give it to him? So he did. So I want to present this painting to General Flynn, and then we'll watch a video of Pastor Reza Safa explaining about himself and his life.
It's been an honor for me to paint your portrait. I was commissioned by Alex, and I just want to say I am so proud to be called an American. I used to be a radical Muslim. My heart was full of hatred. But Jesus came in and touched me and changed all that hate. And now I can say that I'm full of love for people, for all people. And I love this great nation of ours. And I think this is the greatest nation ever existed in the history of mankind. And also I want to say I'm so proud to be called an American because of men like you, men and women that have served this great nation, that you have stood by the gates and protected our freedom. You know, I witnessed to many Muslims. Throughout the years, I've been traveling and witnessing to many Muslims, and also we broadcasting to Iran 24/7 Christian broadcasting, and millions of Iranians have come to Christ. And did you know that the majority of these people used to hate America, but now they love it? You know, for one reason, because America stands for freedom. Freedom is so precious. And I just want to say thank you for your service. Thank you for protecting this great gift that God has given to this great nation, the freedom, and we are enjoying it so much. And again, thank you so much. May God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. And again, please say you like this painting so Alex can pay me off. This is Alex's painting. And we are so excited about you doing this painting for you. I love you guys. I love this great nation of ours. And God bless America.
I don't know if Reyes is watching the live stream, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. The last thing that I'll say, it goes back to the picture of Trump. Now it's time to get back to work.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say it, but this includes Rock the Red 2021. It's bittersweet, but we're going to see you in 7 short months in Rock the Red 2022. General Flynn, from our heart to you, we love you. God bless you. Thank you for your service.
You guys are going back home in the summer?
We haven't, we don't have a trip planned. Everything is still up in the air. They just started